And we are live.
We are.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning in our case. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever around the globe you Flux Nation. Flux Nation coming to you live. Guys, I am so excited this morning. I mean, I literally popped out of bed. Like I was eyes open like this, like today's the day. We get to show off what we've been working on. So
I'm putting on
everybody,
my glasses even. It's that important today.
you put on glasses on? Damn.
Oh, yeah. I want to see.
Wow. It's getting crazy.
Hmm.
Um, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for jumping on today. Please like and share. If you're in that live stream right now, like and share. Let's get as many people in here as we can. Also, if anybody is bored and you want to help out the community and the project, let's do some tweets. If everybody in here, sends one or two tweets while we're doing this, we can get this trending quite a bit and get this video in front of lots and lots of eyes who want to see the kick-assness that is Flux. So I am super excited about that. So I have my trusty compadre Davey here with me. Davey, how are you doing this
Morning.
morning, brother?
Good, good. Got my coffee brewing. Almost missed the stream because I was like, making coffee, chilling, and like, oh, right, stream.
Be
Sorry.
careful. We'll get bricks it and start tossing around. You need to be on
I got
time,
my
right?
bricks ready. So any hard questions today, we'll deal with those in a mature way.
Yeah, and we have a special guest today.
We do. He's waiting.
Yeah, we have Daz, who is our chief growth officer. So he's really helping out with really pushing the envelope with Flux and what we're doing. And I'm really excited to introduce him. So we want to go ahead and throw him up.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, how you
Good
doing?
Hey,
morning,
what's
there.
up, buddy?
Hey man, good to be here. Like you, Davey, I jumped out of bed and rushed to get to the computer. This is so exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, Daz and I had talked about this before. Like, we're in chat and we go back and forth, and something like a Keystone happens or something happens, and we're like, and I'm like, dude, you built this thing just like I dreamed it. Like 2 years ago when we were mind mapping this out. Like I visioned in my head like what this was all going to look like, and like as I was going through it, I got chills on my arm because I was like, this is fucking it, man. This is it. It's a big deal. So I am excited for everybody to see that today and to get started on that. So, Dad, you want to tell everybody just a little bit about yourself? Like, you don't have to get super deep in the details, but you can definitely talk about, who you are and, what you do with the project.
Yeah, originally from England and now living in Dallas, Texas. Been here for about 5 years, and for the last, I don't know, 22 years, I've been developing on the web, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And I was just thinking last night, man, this is such a long journey I've been on. 20 years ago, I created the first. It was a rave. I used to run rave events, and so we broadcast this rave event live on the internet back when it was just when broadband was just starting to take off, and you had to use SMS to text to get access to the code to get on the live feed. And so even back then, I was thinking how to make money, how is this going to work? And so we streamed the broadcast live, and man, it was such an amazing success. Right back then, it was really innovative. So
Yeah, so you were in disruptive technology before you were in disruptive technology. That was pretty cool.
there you go. Yeah, it's just always been involved in technology and loved every minute of it. And from creating my own e-commerce site, and that grew to $10 million over 10 years. It's been a great ride, and so fortunate to be where I am now, which is with the Flux team.
So, well, the big question is, when we have FluxCon next year, are you going to help us plan the rave there?
Let's do
He's
it.
going to be the DJ.
Get my rave
Be the
skills.
DJ, yeah. Got the glow sticks. Let's have a party.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, put them in their mouth or whatever they do with them. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you don't want to see
put
any
that
of
in
that.
your mouth.
If it's like after 8:00, I'd be asleep anyway. So no.
Yeah, we tuck you to bed
Do
first, and then we go party.
Do they have post-afternoon nap raves? Because I'd like to attend one of those.
There you go. That's what we need. Silent disco rave.
Yeah, amen. Well, we're excited to have you on here today. So, like, let's just we'll talk about this for 2 seconds, and then we'll cut right into it, because that's what people we really came today to see is, they want to see the rubber meet the road. So we're gonna have a nice little demo on that. But as everybody listening knows that, we've made it very abundantly clear that we wanted to get to a point where Flux was like onboarding a standard VPS model. So we wanted a look and a feel, the smoothness, the features of deploying on AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, but we wanted it in a decentralized manner. We wanted it to be ran on top of Flux. And this alpha that will eventually, I guess, next week become beta, is our first pass at it. And I think we already started Jetpack 3.0. So, we're already starting to build the next components to it. So I got a feeling we got a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipe as well. So what you see today is just the beginning, and then there's lots to come. So I'm really excited about that.
It's a start, man.
All right, Davey, you want to go ahead and toss him up there so he
can? I can. So Des, I'll hand it over to you. So if you can get your screen ready, and then I'll get you the floor. I'll hide myself so you guys don't have to look at me, and you can look at the actual thing you guys come for.
Right. Everybody comes to look at you, Davey. What are you talking about, man?
No. There you go.
All right, here we go, guys. This is Jetpack 2.0. Very tempted to say 3.0 because we've already started working on that already.
Well, 2.5. Let's say it's 2.5. Jetpack 2.5.
So I just want to say, when I first got involved in Flux, I was looking for a project to invest in, and Flux just stood out amongst everyone else. Such an amazing team. There was lots going on, lots of amazing, innovative technology, and I just fell in love with the whole thing. And I was like, man, what can we do? How can I get involved and really help accelerate the entire project? And it was like, man, it was like a light bulb moment. We've got like tens of thousands of these nodes around the world. We could be the next AWS for Web3. And it just that was the initial spark. And after speaking with you, Dan, you really inspired me. And, I've got to say it's been an incredible journey up to this point, but it's all thanks to the original Flux team and all the developers who've really put all of their hard work into the underlying system. And all of this wouldn't be possible without that. So massive thanks and hats off to those guys. So yeah, let's get started. Let's dive right in. The first thing you're going to need is a Zelcore ID. If you haven't got that already, you can get it straight from this link. And that's going to allow you to get logged into the system. So off screen right now, I'm just going to log in. And this is going to take us straight into the system. This is where the magic happens, right here.
This is the part that I like.
All right, here we go.
Maybe. Oh my God!
I know what Des did. Dad has his wallet open for a long time, and then it always does this.
There we go. There you go.
Don't worry, Des. I had the same thing on another demo.
Yeah. It almost. I was telling Davey before we got going today. I said it almost is guaranteed. You can build a disruptive technology, an amazing blockchain. Can be technology giants. But for whatever reason, AV is our Achilles heel. You know what I mean? You get it all together. Anyway, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, you've got to be quick with the login. If you're any longer than in 60 seconds, you've got to try again, man. So where I am now, this is the dApp screen. This is going to give you all a list of the dApps that you would have already launched. So this is the list that I've been launching over the last few months. But normally this would just be, hey, let's get started. Let's create a dApp. Let's launch this. So this is the screen you want to be on, and this is going to allow you to actually create the dApp. We're going to go through a number of different steps, super easy. But first, the first thing you're going to want to do is whitelist your dApp through the Flux GitHub repository. So if you click on this link, it's going to take you straight through to GitHub, where you can then add and whitelist to the list. It's super easy, and I'm making it sound harder than it is, but it's a one-time deal. Once that's done, it's done. And then that's going to allow you to then go ahead and get this registered.
Well, he's doing that. The maximalists are going to say, well, why do I have to register my GitHub or, in a GitHub repository on a whitelist? We're not there to the point where it can be completely automated. We're still working on a Jetpack 2.0, which is going to basically be our XDAO proposal with our terms of service, our community terms of service. So, like every iterative technology, there could be, something like that, that's a little bit centralized. We want to get away from that. So whether we have a repository we run on top of Flux, or, whether however it looks, Jetpack 2.0, let's not get too ahead of myself. You'll be able to see that within the next, month or two. The proposals will start to come out.
Yeah, the idea behind this is just, it's going to be so seamless, so easy to use. And so we're getting there step by step. So the great news is the Flux team's just launched geolocation 2.0. And so with Jetpack 2, we had to build this in very last minute because this was just all brand new. So there's still a few more features to add. So you can opt in or include and also exclude different continents. So right now we've got the include. So we're going to say we only want our nodes to be launched in North America. And here's the exciting future feature is going to be the different networks, either mainnet or testnet. So the idea is with testnet, you can launch a DApp in a sandbox environment without any fees. And so that's going to be a huge step forward for us.
Whoa. I didn't even know that.
There you go.
Dude, that is freaking amazing. Nice. So you can deploy that. You can select when you're going through the deployment process to deploy it on testnet for free and test your app. Then you can go back and redeploy on mainnet.
There you go.
That is a big fucking deal. And I mean, I'm trying to watch my F words, but boy, I'll tell you what, that's one that gets me. I didn't even know that. And maybe I did know it
in this swear jar. No, I'll put a nickel in this.
Maybe it went over my head, and or it was one of these things where Davey sent me a screenshot. I had no idea what it was and was like, "Hey, that's cool, dude." I have no idea. But anyway, keep going. That's huge.
Yeah, one of the advantages of being an app developer is when you create technology like this, you're the actual customer as well. So you can kind of design this as if it's going to have everything you're going to need. And the testnet was something that we're definitely crying out for. So I'm really excited that that's going to be in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's huge because several of the large companies that we work with, that was one of their biggest concerns, like Davison Consulting. We didn't have a testnet deployment model, so they had to deploy directly to mainnet, and not always optimal, right? So if you got to tweak it or whatever, now you're spending your Flux to deploy. Now you got to go redeploy it again because it wasn't right. So,
and same for students, right? I got Alex pinging me already. He's like, "This is awesome. Students gonna love this." I'm like, I know. Hold your horses.
Well, for students, with the partnership that we recently announced, with all the different colleges and stuff like that, they can use this for free. So they'll basically be able to learn and be able to deploy their DApp, test their DApp, everything for free. And this is a great precursor to proof of use work. So good work, man. Like I didn't even know this. So I'm even a little learning stuff today. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna have to move some mountains with the core Flux development team. So with those guys' help, we're going to make this really fly.
No, absolutely.
And of course, if you're brand new to this and you don't know what you're doing, then of course you can click on the easy help links over here, and it's going to give you some good pointers. How do you do this? What does this mean, for example? And we've got a fantastic guide on the main Flux website, which is going to really walk you through step by step if it's your first time doing this. So you can easily access that through these help links. So once you put in your DApp details, the name of the application, then the next few steps is going to be setting up the actual environment itself. So for those that don't know, this is going to be basically setting up a Docker image, which is then going to be deployed to the Flux network. So all of these different options here are all to do with that. So component name, for example. So we're going to call it front end. Then the whitelisted Docker Hub repository that you did earlier, which is just here. If you want to add any environment variables, so it might be, root path is /data, any commands you want to run here.
So like for the newbie, I wouldn't have to run that, right? Those are only really specifically for specialized applications or deployments, or is that something that you got to know when you're walking through the process?
Yeah, I mean, if you're developing apps and you've got some familiarity with Docker, then you're going to know exactly what this is. Otherwise, you could still launch a really good app without this, but you're going to know what it is.
But if you're like hosting like a simple website or something on your Docker, none of this is going to be important to you.
Yeah,
It's just
that-
going to be
What?
just
Yeah,
going to
one.
be the Docker name or what it is on Docker Hub. That's going to be your important piece there. But the commands and the key variables, that's not going to be important to you for a simple static website or something like that.
That makes sense.
That's it. And you know, I've been putting together a kind of a basic guide in the background for launching a DApp, and it can talk through, you know, with the different commands, start npm, for example. So it's all coming to make it even easier for those that are just getting started. All right, so then persistent storage. This is going to be the folder that's always going to be persistent, regardless of how many times the DApp's deployed.
Can you scroll up just a little bit, because I think we're cutting off where you can see that, or
I can quickly do something here,
or just move us to the other corner, Davey, just so people can see what he's talking about. Because that's like a big deal. That persistent storage is like, we've been talking about that.
Let's do this.
Flipping ever. Okay, there you go.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah, this is different types of persistent storage, and this one is specific to this instance. So the idea is your DApp can share data between the different instances, or otherwise known as the different Docker images. So that'll become apparent when I go on the next screen, or the next few screens. This one's the port forwarding. So without getting too technical here, this is going to be the public port that's going to be associated with Flux. And then that's going to forward to the internal port on the Docker side, so port 80, for example. And this number here is restricted between this range. And if you put in the wrong number, for example, it's going to tell you at the end, so you can't go wrong. So there's our first set of ports. You can add a custom domain name. So of course, anything you want here, and that's always going to point to this first port. So it's going to go straight to 80, and that's it, nice and easy. And then this is the main screen right here. So this is where you can then decide what do you want? How many nodes do you want? How many globally distributed nodes around the world? Up to 100, which is pretty incredible and very powerful. And for how much money it is as well. This is incredibly affordable. How many CPU cores? Memory? All basic stuff. And then how much storage do you need? And if you're not quite sure, on this side, we've got preset configurations. That's going to give you a bit of an idea of what the prices could be for the different options. So all the way from 9 Flux a month, right up to 900 Flux. And look at this.
You mean 9 cents a Flux.
that is a BAMF of a deployment right there.
100 servers.
Yeah.
And 15 cores.
For not even 1,000 Flux, that's just nuts.
This thing's going to be like shit off a stick. You are basically going to build a run, probably Facebook on that. But joking aside, it gives you an estimate based on the value right now of 1 Flux to the dollar. So it's going to be quite updated in real time, for example. So if I click this, it's going to pre-fill the options and then again just give you an idea of what the price is going to be. Let's say I just wanted to bump that up a little bit, and it's constantly going to give you the up-to-date price right here. Right now, it's at a set renewal period of every 30 days. Then the next the beta that's going to launch next week, we're going to allow you to put in your email address, which is then going to send you an alert when it gets close to that renewal period. So you could go back into Flux, Zelcore, and then do the repayment again. In the future Jetpack 3, I would hope that this could be where you can select the different options, 60 days, every 12 months, for example, so you can prepay in advance, and that reduces that administration.
That's a big deal. Yeah, that makes it a lot easier for people to deploy. And the fact that we're reminding them every 30 days is great, but somebody like me, I'm lazy. So, like being able to deploy it for 6 months and not have to worry about it would be damn nice.
There you go. And especially if it's a small amount of Flux and you're just an up and coming business, it's going to be super affordable, and over 12 months, it's going to be super cheap.
Yep.
All right, final page is going to be just confirmation. This is your first component or Docker image. It's going to give you a reminder of how many nodes you've got and what region it's going to be deployed in. And so it's going to allow you to edit, make any changes if you need to, or add additional components. So let's say I've got a front end, which is the web server, then I've got the back end, which is going to be the database, or maybe a cron service. Then this is where you would do it and add the different components. And just for reference, this is going to be the host name, which is going to allow the different components to talk to each other. Anyone familiar with Docker is going to know what that is. So that is all there for you to see. And then you're ready to go. So we're going to validate the spec and get the cost. So this is going to come straight back and let you know that all the different attributes that you've entered here are all correct. There's no mistakes. The ports look good. You've got the right amount of, you haven't got too much spec. And then now it's going to open up the screen. You can't see this. It's gone off screen. And this is the Zelcore wallet, which I'm going to authenticate with. Put in the password. And that's going to come straight back. Now I'm authenticated and ready to sign. And this is sending all of the app or DApp information to the Flux network. And now we've got that confirmation back to say, okay, you're good to go. It's all fully secure. And the final stage is actually the registration itself. Now what happens here is it puts it into the blockchain with a pending status, ready for the payment. And this is going to be the next stage. It's going to let you know how much it's going to be to pay, which is in this example is 300 Flux. So when I click open to pay, it's going to allow me to then push that 300 Flux across to the network. And as soon as it detects it within that hour, it's then going to assign it to the DApp and make it live, which takes roughly about an hour. And that is it. That is super easy. And it's just a seamless process, start to finish. And hopefully I didn't go too fast there.
No, it's a lot. I was
no. This is all good. We're just listening.
I was sitting here talking on mute like a dum dum. No, it's much more seamless and it's not clunky. I mean, honestly, I could deploy a DApp on Flux right now, and that's saying something because I'm very minimalistic in my, I'm all about strategy and technology. But this is definitely something I think anyone could do. If you have just a little bit of an education with Zelcore and all these different processes. Like if you're a DApp deployer, you already know all these things coming in. So we tried to make it as seamless as possible. Daz, I think you did a great job with that. I mean, this is super easy to use, and I mean, could not be more impressed.
Yeah, it's basically just trying to, how can we make it so simple so anyone can just dive right in? How can we make it so your mom can use this, right?
Yeah, I don't think Mom's going to be deploying any DApps anytime soon. And if she is,
do I log into the computer again? No, never mind, Mom.
My mom is pretty technologically savvy, so I don't know. If I gave it to her, I think she could probably do it. And
there's two secret parts to this. Of course, there's making it really making some software really easy to use. So it's so painless. But then the other part of this, of course, the secret is all of the thousands of lines of code behind it, especially on the Flux network side. So I've got to say a big hats off to the entire team for the amount of work and effort they put in over the years. It's got to be stretched in the hundreds of thousands of lines of code. It's an incredible project. And this is just the top layer of that. So, it's a huge team effort in this.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Daz, big shout out to you and what you've done. I mean, you've brought a lot of vision and we're able to put our thoughts and articulate what we were thinking into actual, an actual deployment mechanism, deployment code that would make sense to us and to everyone else. So, this is huge. It looks simplistic. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, well, wait a minute. This is way too easy here. Like, that's the way we wanted it. We wanted normal people to be able to do a little bit of research, a little bit of heavy lifting, and they would be able to deploy very easily. And I think we get it with this. So that's
anyone who uses DigitalOcean, AWS, or Google, whatever at this point, can do this.
Yes.
Anyone.
Yeah.
This is exactly how that works for those guys. It's very similar. I think anyone can host with this application.
Yeah, and very easily you could probably have a DApp up and running probably within the hour, especially if you've just got the payments side sorted. So it's super quick, super easy, super fast.
Somebody asked in chat, they said, so does this mean that you could get your website done in 1 hour? I think it's as soon as you deploy that, I think it registers, right? So once if your repository was already whitelisted, you're only limited by, right now the beta version, which is the whitelisting the repository. But in the future, there'll be no repository. Well, there'll be a repository, but you won't need to be whitelisted. You can just deploy. So
it'll be automated. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the whitelisting process, probably allow a few hours, but otherwise, once it's automated, this is going to be amazing.
The other thing I would mention too is the fact that, if you already have your website, running, and we did this with the Run on Flux website, we actually had it deployed on Web 2. And when we were ready to cut over and move it to Flux, we ran both of them at the same time in tandem, till we knew for sure that everything was right. And then we shut down, the Web 2 version of it, and off we went. So, that's something you have to think about too. I think you could even see in like a 3.0 the ability to not only deploy on Flux in a Web3 decentralized manner, but I think you could see maybe perhaps an area in there where you could deploy on Web 2 at the same time. So maybe one of our partner projects like Lumen, you would be able to do like almost a load balance between Web 2 and Web 3. So those are all really awesome points that I think can come out in 3.0. But this is a big deal, dude. Like, this is amazing.
It's such an amazing project to be involved in. I'm really pleased with the results. And we're only 1% done, right? There's so much more to do.
Yeah, that's what everybody always says is like, when will this be a deployable product? It's like, it already is, okay, but you may have to roll your sleeves up a little to do a little research. And this is one step closer to, really honestly, anyone deploying on the platform. Like Davey was alluding to with AWS or Zur or any of those, they all feel about the same. This just looks a little bit different, especially on this side where it's registering, it's validating, it's registering and things like that. These are all, kind of points that, Flux does and does well. But yeah, we wanted to make it super easy. So I got a guy that's got like 500 websites he's deploying on Flux. So
Nice.
He's a web designer and that's his job. And, he hit me up in chat one day and he said, I got a question for you. I basically host, 500 to 800 websites. I build them, deploy them, and host them. And my biggest expense in my company is my infrastructure. Could I deploy these websites to Flux? Absolutely. He goes, so you're telling me that I'm paying like, somebody had some spam in the chat
take care of
him. Tinder hot dates. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway, yeah. So like, this is going to be, I think, so simplistic, and deployment is so, this is the way it should be. So lots of cool stuff coming, and Daz, this really looks great.
Yeah, and of course, this is only one part of Jetpack, so there's even more exciting stuff to reveal.
Well, without further ado, let's keep rolling along. Okay, so everybody that's in chat, like, if like, share, throw some tweets out there. You're more than willing, take a screenshot, toss it up there and say whatever. Make sure you include the Flux Twitter handle and stuff like that, so that we can get that trending. And then go ahead, Daz, take it away, man. What's the next step?
Yeah, let's do this. So, of course, once you've got the DApp registered, you can go back to the dApps list, and this is going to be where you're going to be able to see all the details. So every time you log in, you can see, when is it going to expire. You've got like a history of how much you paid, how many nodes, and components there are. So if you click through, it's going to give you more details. So it's going to show you whereabouts it's deployed. So on the 6 nodes we currently have on this test, you can see. There you go, Kiev. Good old Ukraine guys.
Oh, there you go.
We're running in Kiev at the moment. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's it. Actually, I think this demo right now is running on the Kiev server and live from Ukraine right now.
Let's go. That's a big deal. Elon might be pulling out, but Flux isn't.
All right, and then further down just gives you a reminder of the component setup. And then last thing is the billing side, which is just going to give you the history of all the different amounts that's been paid. And so the next step, of course, in the next few versions is going to give you the ability to be able to download an invoice. And not only that, but be able to go back in and then easily edit the DAP from this screen right now. So that's all coming.
That's amazing.
Very cool. So let's jump straight into it. This is the next big feature. This is Flux Drive, which is going to be the Web3 storage. This is super, super exciting to announce this, because this, for me, just feels like the next version of the internet. This takes me right back to the early days. Can you guys remember Napster? That's going back.
Hell yes! I cut my teeth on Napster. However, Lars, if you're listening, I didn't download anything. I promise. Okay.
Yeah, we never downloaded anything.
I did it for the looks. You know what I'm saying?
So this technology is built on similar technology to Napster back in the day, but this is blockchain technology. It's IPFS, which is globally distributed file storage. And so right here in Flux, Jetpack, we're going to give you the interface to be able to upload images, files, music, whatever you want, directly onto Web3. So let's get started. Let's upload. So if you guys can't see this, I've got the window come up, which is allowing me to choose which image I want to put on there. So here's a future purchase, maybe, depending on how it goes.
Let's go. Let's go. Only if I can use it too.
Let me get it. This was too big. It was actually a jet. Hold on. Let me see if I can show you right there.
I saw it.
The system's going, hey, no, this is too big. You can't fit this in right here. Oh, it's a WebP. It's a WebP file. So that's coming in next week's beta support for WebP. That's a brand new image format. That's been gaining lots of.
I never even heard of. I never even heard of that before.
What is it? WebP?
It's been around for a little while, but it's really gaining mainstream. Yeah, it's going to be the next version of JPEG, and so it's just as good as PNG images, but as small as JPEGs. So, yeah, .webp. So it's so new. It's not even built into the beta yet. This is still alpha, by the way. So let me go ahead and choose. This is so typical in demos like this.
Don't worry about it. Just reload it. Yeah.
WebP. I wrote that down. I'm gonna look into that.
WebP. All right. Where's the next best image?
I like the dog there.
Oh yeah, dog. Yeah, put him up.
Let's do him. This one's a gift. This is animated.
There you go.
And it's going to come up when I click this. So right here is going to be the IPFS link, which is then going to allow you to either share this with whoever, or this could be put into a web page, HTML. So if I click on it, it's going to show you the full size image. There you go.
I love it, man.
Super cute. And let's go exit. Let me just get rid of this guy. And so right now that's now distributed. So wherever that's shared, it's going to be shared to that location in the world, and it's going to be distributed to the fastest node to that user's location. So it's going to be like a super fast CND all built in.
Holy shit! So essentially, what you have is Dropbox on steroids.
Exactly, on the Web3 environment. You can't get
that is insane. Like, I know we had Flux Share, but this is kind of a completely different, this is more like what conventional cloud storage that people use. This is why Thunder is so important coming up.
Yeah, right. So, lots and lots and lots of new different features that we want to integrate into this, folder support, lots and lots of different ideas. So this is just a starting point, but wow, this is like the early days. This is right at the very beginning, day one, right here.
Can you share the link in chat? Can you do that? Yeah.
So you just click on the little icon. That's going to be shared right away. And
I'll do it. No, I don't. Can you post it in the private chat? Yeah, put it in the private chat or put it in the car.
I was going to say I'm going to send this right across to you, Davey.
Sure.
And yeah, I'll put that in the chat in a second, guys. And so the next point is, with Flux Drive, you're going to have the ability to have different storage options. So Dan, do you want to talk through the options?
Yeah, so the prices are just placeholders at this point. We haven't exactly came to terms in terms. We want to make sure that we're decentralized, we're cheap, and everything else, but we don't want to be giving the house away for free. So we want to make sure that these are appropriate. The other thing is too, we want to make sure that folks are able to use this effectively in their business models. So we everything we are building right now around Jetpack 2.0 is the fact that we want large institutions that have to submit capital budgets, or small businesses that are just starting up, where all of their capital is super important. We want to be able to give them the tools to do things very affordably, but also completely decentralized, and that's a big deal. So these are the first this is the first pass of Flux Drive. So if you would go to Dropbox today and you want to do storage, whether it's iCloud or Dropbox or any other ones, so the storage amount and the price is going to change probably by the time we hit beta or into a release candidate. But the cool thing about it is for a few bucks, you can now have decentralized storage. So, you've got your 1 gig of storage there for about 99 cents standard for about $4.95. And your Pro, which is 10 gigs, is $9. So we haven't even compared these yet to the pricing structure of, say, like, Google Drive or any of these, Dropbox. These are just numbers that we put as placeholders, but you can start to really see what you get in there as well. So you're getting, your Web3 infrastructure, your decentralized storage, and your global distribution. So this really helps keep everything in one camp. Whether if you're deploying your website, you're using Flux. If you're deploying your DApp, you're using Flux. Your file storage maintained on Flux. So really what it's doing is it's creating this environment for folks to really come into and then stay. They don't need to leave. They don't need to have multiple, maybe I'm using AWS or DigitalOcean or, Hetzner or something like that. You really have no need for that anymore. You're in Flux. Everything remains in Flux. You're decentralized, you're Web3, you're ready to rock and roll. And we've built really a holistic environment. So this is just another way for us to do that.
Yeah, you've got it. Exactly right. And I'm seeing some really great comments about the Flux versus dollars. And so that's something that we've been talking about, of course, that's going to come.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned Fully Electric actually said, why is it $1 price versus Flux? Well, again, so this is I'll tell you what, Dads, why don't we show them the fiat onboarding part, and then we'll keep that as a question. Davey, keep that a question for the end because I want to come back to that.
I already marked it for a question here. So.
Thank you.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're gonna upgrade to the next plan. What's happening now is this is going to connect us directly into the payments. This is going to be the fiat payment interface. And when it comes up in a second, this is going to allow us to put in our credit card information, which is then going to get us into the subscription. And then there's going to be a regular recurrent subscription based on however long I want this.
It's thinking about it. It's a lot of pressure, guys. Please keep
everybody and their uncle is it.
Yeah, everybody watching this, remember this is alpha. This will all get sped up as we go.
And this is worked perfect every single time. The hundreds of times I've done this. There you go.
There you go. Just needed a little kick. It could be this internet speed and all that.
Is that your Visa? Make sure I take note of it.
Yeah, everybody write this down. You're going to need this for all the person.
all deployments are now on DAS, so congratulations.
And of course, this is just test credit card information, but this is going to allow us to showcase this. And there we go. Let's
flux and go. Yes, I love it. You're subscribed. I love it. I love it. Now, I want to really back up here for 2 seconds and really, is there a way to back up out of this to like one screen? I just want to go back. Okay, so let's move to Pro. So just go ahead and click upgrade there.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to explain to people is how groundbreaking what they are seeing right now is, and that is the fact this is the very first time really that I'm aware of that you can deploy Web3 decentralized infrastructure and you can utilize fiat as your on-ramp. That is huge. And as a matter of fact, we have some really cool announcements coming up about that in the next few weeks. But this is massive. If you were watching the news the other day, you saw that Google Cloud partnered with Coinbase as a fiat payment mechanism, right? So if you're depending on who you are, you can deploy on Google Cloud. You can pay with Coinbase. We don't even need Coinbase. We built this out so that this is completely sans. It doesn't matter who the provider or the processor is in the background. We're able to take fiat for that. So we'll come back. I want to explain more about that in our AMA part of this. But this is fucking huge, guys. Like this is the holy grail of being able to deploy on Web 2, Web 3, and have that seamless flow between the two. This is it, man. You're seeing it right here. Take a picture. This is huge because, to my knowledge, at least in my searching for 4 years, I've never seen anything like this. This is huge. So good work, Daz.
Yeah, this is bringing all the different bits of magic together to really showcase Web3 and take us to the next level.
Yeah, this is huge. So essentially, you know, what you just showed us is, you know, you can deploy. What about this payment processing mechanism? What about this eventually being on the DApp deployments as well?
Exactly right. Yeah, this is where we really take that massive leap forwards, and being able to give people the option to do fiat and pay by Flux, and then eventually this is what's going to allow them to do the subscription model with Flux and just make it so seamless with regular payments. It's all coming, guys.
Yeah, this is huge. So, all right. Do you have anything else you want to present there, Daz?
Yeah, you know, there's so many more things, right? But just not enough time in the day. So hopefully we can do another one of these in the future and really showcase the next set of features.
Yeah, absolutely. And when is this going live that people can play? We can put us back on screen, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me 1 sec.
I hope somebody took a screenshot of that because that was badass. So when do you envision like this being released so people can start using this beta wise?
Yeah, so we're going to do the beta launch next week and allow people to come on and private test this. We need all the feedback we can get at this point. And then over the coming weeks, we'll just get bigger and stronger.
So do you see a point, and this is more opinion, and I already know the answer to it, but I want to see what you think. Do you see a point where there will be like almost like a separate app or DApp that runs on top of Flux that you can access all your content that you've stored? You know what I mean? Like you know how you got Dropbox, right? And you go to your computer and use it, but then the Dropbox is an app on your phone. So do you see a time where, you know, deploying something will, you know, be like just as simple as Dropbox? You'll be able to access your files, send them, receive, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, well, actually, you could do that right now because the app itself is it's a web-based app, can be accessed from any browser, and we built it for mobile first from day one. So right there in your favorite, you know, your Brave browser on your cell phone, you can access it right now and do everything you need to do, just like a regular app.
That's dude, you're blowing me away, man. Like I've been following.
So for the record, guys, Dan is seeing this for the first time too. So
yeah, I am. So
he hasn't seen any of this before, right? So
well, no, I've seen bits and pieces. Don't
yeah,
make it like I did.
Yeah,
you feed me screenshots, and Daz is kind enough to every now and again send me some teasers that I always say, "Can I share this?" And he says no. We're still working on it, but now we get to showcase it like this. So this is nice. I got to tell you, I am. There's very few times in the past 4 years where I'm at a loss for words, and everybody knows I'm not at a loss for words. This is huge. Like I told Daz before we got on live today, I said, you know, 2.5, 3 years ago when we mind mapped this and we laid it all out, like I was just thinking about what it would look like and dreaming about it. And this is it, man. Like this is the realization. This is a culmination of 4.5 years of hard work by the team, and just couldn't be. Big shout out to Trunk, to Vulture, to Jeremy, to every single one of the developers who put time in this. Greggy and that group that does security audits. Nolan for busting his ass and PM side to keep it on track and wrangle me in and make sure that I was doing the right things to give you guys what you need. Man, when you said it was a group effort, it was a group effort. So except for me, I just showed up at the end and was like, hey, check out this awesome stuff. But really what it comes down to is creativity amongst this team is higher than anything I've ever seen. And why? Because nobody has to be here. This isn't there's a lot of people that work day jobs and they still develop on Flux. They do it because this is what motivates them. And that's what really a culmination of something like this of, 60 plus like-minded folks that are all working toward one goal. And that one goal is to be the next version of the internet, to be Web 3, decentralized inside and out. So good work, man. I'm going to check that out too. I'm going to play around with that as soon as it comes out. And I got like a ton of I got like these JPEGs and these GIFs of me that like as the Sparta guy that kicks a guy in the wall. Who did that? Who made all those? I don't know. There's like
he hasn't
50
been
of
on
them.
the chat for a while now, but
it drives my kids. It drives my kids insane because every time they say something, like I sent one to my son the other night, me as Vanilla Ice. And he was like, "Are you serious, dude? This is ridiculous." I said, "Wow, I think it's pretty cool." So
I want that GIF, and I want that on Jetpack 2 now. I want that. I need that URL.
So I was on vacation a few weeks ago, and I just took a shot of the beach and put it straight into Jetpack, straight up to Web3, and man, it was such an amazing moment. And then send it to my wife, and she was like, "What's this?" And I tried to explain Web3, and she's like,
"Just click on it. It's awesome. It kicks ass." Well, it looks like a picture to me. But I always use this analogy. My wife, when she goes to the ATM, she sticks the card in, she puts the numbers in, she takes the cash, she takes the card, she leaves, and she doesn't understand all of the infrastructure that's been built around that delivery model, right? And with Flux, it looks like just a link that you're sharing,
right.
But behind it is a technology giant that has worked their ass off for 4.5 years. So what we think is cool as hell, they're just thinking it's just a normal creature comfort. And that means we've done it successfully.
Exactly.
Because if it's not a pain in the ass to use, if it really does work, then we've done what we're supposed to do.
That's
we build it out.
Best way to look at it. And just what you were saying earlier, Dan, being a Flux holder myself, when I originally invested in this project and then having the privilege to be able to work on the project, it's like, man, what do we need to do to get it to $100 a coin? And it's putting all of these building blocks together. And I really see that we can easily achieve that. And when you did the State of the Union a few weeks back, and looking at the growth model and being able to hit those numbers, this is why we're going to be able to do that. This here. Right here, Jetpack.
Absolutely. This has been the missing link the entire time. We've said that. We said if we can't, and we'll go to questions like right now and if you can throw Fully Electrics up, that's a great segue. And our annual growth model, thanks to Bunny Analyst and all the work that he's done on our analytical piece, we're up like our network utilization's up 11,000 plus %. And we didn't even have a fiat on ramp or any of this. Can you just imagine what that's going to look like next year? So I think those especially the projections, we've already blown. I mean, a month after we launched our State of the Union and our projections, we were already beating our year 1 projections. So now we're on our way to year 2 projections. There's a very good chance, depending on how things go with this deployment, we could see year 2 in less than 6 months of after we deployed it. So this could be exponentially greater than what I even envisioned it as its growth model. But if you haven't checked it out, Bunny Analyst has a nice little utility, and you can see all the different apps that are deployed. You can see the revenue model, see how much revenue we're taking in. Now, keep in mind, when you look at the revenue model, people are always like, you would think a network of that size would make more money. We use a Linux distribution model for our plan. So our goal is to basically give everything damn near for free. And eventually we'll ratchet that up mildly with industry standards and community input so that we're, 5 times cheaper or 10 times cheaper than, the next provider. But we're starting to generate revenue that goes back into the project to help its perpetual growth model. So
exactly. Yeah. You can't get any better than that, right?
And so Fully Electric said, why is there a dollar price versus Flux? Okay, so essentially, as a chief information officer, I have to sit down and I have to create a budget every year, a fiscal year. I have to put together what my operating costs are. I have to put my capital costs. I have to put all these things in there. For me to be able to budget effectively, I cannot speculate on the asset price. I cannot speculate, well, I might need 200 flux, or I could need 400 flux, or it might be 1,000 flux. If you take that to a CFO, they'll kick you out of the damn room and say, go figure it back out. So by pegging this to a fiat dollar denomination, right, it allows us to allow other people to budget for that. I'm Dan. I have a small business. I want to utilize this. I want to know what my costs are for, 3 months out, 6 months out, 1 year out, because that's money that I can put back into my business as I grow it. So, pegging that to a dollar is really honestly, or the euro or whatever the fiat model is. It allows people to conceptually be able to grasp what their cost model is. And it'll also bring in large and mid-size and small business deployments as well, because they don't have to gamble on whether or not Flux is going to go up or down. Doesn't matter. It's always let's not say, we were Flux Drive there. Let's say it was $5.99. I know I'm going to pay $5.99 a month for the next 12 months. It's not, I'm going to pay 0.9 flux. Well, 0.9 flux is now, $20. What the hell? I'm out. On that, I'm out. So it needs to, it needs to be pegged in a fiat model and settled back to the chain in Flux. And that's exactly what Jetpack is doing. It's taking the fiat, the fiat influx, no pun intended, or maybe it's completely intended. It's taking the fiat influx and then what it's doing is on the backside, it's that settlement mechanism is going to settle it directly to whatever the market value is at settlement time. So, yeah, I mean, this is huge. So hopefully fully electric, that explains it. This is, hypothetically, my wife wanted to deploy a website. She's going to go on here and she just wants to equate what it's going to cost her in fiat, because that's what everybody kind of lives by. But for us, it's going to say, $9.99 in fiat or point whatever in Flux, whatever it is. So it's just a back end settlement mechanism.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Some more questions. There's a lot of questions today, so get ready, guys.
Well, we got some time. You guys got a few minutes, right?
I got more time, yeah.
So
all right. So Tech Social Network was asking a question, and I don't know if we can. I'll bring it up. I don't know if we have the answer to this just yet, but I'm guessing that we were showcasing an upgrade to the Pro version. But he's asking, can we also downgrade? The upgrade version we already
not even released yet, and you're already downgrading. Holy shit! Come on, guys. Well, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was an upgrade and downgrade option to different plans already. Yeah.
All right. Easy.
So that way, and that would work probably like every other platform, where if you paid for a month, your month is at X, and then you downgrade next month, you'll be paid at X.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
Bill is asking a question. Can I get that too, please?
Get a blue metal Flux crypto card. I do. I will tell you that there is some scutterbug, and this is not really a leaky leak. This is just a kind of, we've already said before, that Zelcore is working on some things over there too. So I think our goal eventually would be for you to have a Flux card that links to your Zelcore account, and in there you're able to. And there could be some partnerships coming around that as well. So I'm super excited to see that all happen. So, yeah, the answer is I want that too. I have a Coinbase card. I know, guys, don't make fun of me. I have a coin, and you know why? Because I get like 1.5% back in Bitcoin for everything that I spend. So I load it up with a few bucks, and if I'm getting coffee or something like that, I feel like I'm mining. You know what I mean? So that would be really cool if we could do something like that with Flux and Zelcore eventually, where, if you're utilizing, Flux as your payment mechanism, maybe it just looks like fiat because it's, credit card based, but in the back end, you could earn a little Flux for using Flux as a payment mechanism. So lots of cool shit that can happen there.
It's amazing.
Not a question, but a statement. And I like to throw this in there as well. He's hitting it right on the head. That's exactly what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to make it easier.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a perfect point. Like, If you guys are bored or this looks like it's, passe or whatever, then we've done our jobs. Why? Because if it makes it easy to use to where we're like, well, this is easy, right? Well, imagine what it's going to be like for those end users, and when they say this is easy, then we've really succeeded. And I think we're there now with this iteration.
I'm seeing hundreds of resumes every day, and especially from developers. And the one thing that always stands out is with their portfolio, they're going to be linking to Heroku or other kind of AWS style services, but Heroku seems to be the most popular. And I'm thinking, why not use Flux? It's damn cheaper and it's just as easy.
Yep.
And so the dream would be every developer in the world is using Flux to showcase their portfolio.
Yep. That would be, yeah. I mean, and ultimately, that's really what we're doing with the partnerships we're doing with University of Geneva in Switzerland. Is we're starting to get these folks at a very young age, like Davey was saying about Alex being excited about this for his fellow students. Well, now you can mess around and you can deploy things on testnet, and that works. That benefits us in a couple different ways. One is allows us to grow because more than likely they're going to mess shit up. So it allows us to make the process easier. You know what I mean? If, test nets are there for a reason, they're there for people like me who is dangerous on mainnet. So, using a test net and getting familiar with it, but still having that walkthrough seamless feel to it. That's huge because now you're going to be able to have other people really start to build on top of that as well. So I personally see, people always ask me all the time, they're like, who do you see adopting Flux the most? And I said, I like the gaming industry. So I think GameFi is going to be huge. I think you have, gambling and sports betting, which is huge. Geolocations helps to take care of regulatory compliance around that. So if I'm instituting a gambling app and maybe let's say you can't do it in, Arizona, you can bypass Arizona and you can make sure that it's deployed outside of the states. And education, like everybody underestimates. We have an entire generation that's completely dependent on rapid iterative technology. Go back 2 years and look what a deep fake was. And now you look at it 2 years later and it's like, it doesn't even look the same. You look at the metaverse and what, Zuckerberg and that group has done, the first version of the metaverse where you had no legs and everybody was just floating around like weirdos. Now you got legs and like you have facial recognition and all this other stuff. The tech is iterating so quickly that these individuals that are in schools and institutions need to be able to iterate with that as well. Right. So if I'm a kid and I'm going to school and I'm using 4-year-old technology, that isn't good enough. We need cutting edge technology. And Flux does that because, whether you're doing it with running a node infrastructure, or whether you're running or you're participating in Titan, whether you're deploying dApps, websites, whatever, you're able to learn these things at a very rapid clip. And that's the only way we get to the next level is it has to be progressive and fast, and they have to be able to deploy on it. So anyway, but good. Thank you. That was good for pointing that out.
Good question.
Who processes a dollar? So we can't really talk about that quite yet, but that'll be coming down the pike. I would say this: look at your conventional fiat on ramps for services. So there's like every single major exchange has a pay integration. So you have FTX that's got FTX Pay. You've got Coinbase. It's got Coinbase Pay. Crypto.com has their payment rails and payment mechanisms. So we have a lot of choices. The only prerequisite for any of those choices would be, one, they have Flux. And you guys probably can figure this out by just going through your list in your mind. One, they have Flux. 2, they have a payment mechanism, a payment rails. And 3, it's a project we work with on a regular basis where we can, help when iterating and developing out the next pass. So I might have said who it was in there, but I'm not saying. So
I tried to make it Kim Lee, guys. I tried, but he's good today. All right, I got more questions. All right.
And all you need is an email client and a search engine, and you would effectively get rid of Google and Web3. Yeah. The email client is one that I want. I've said that from the
me
get go. Like, you know, I want to be able to tune up, you know, my Flux mail or whatever the hell we call it, right? Instead of Gmail, we'll call it F mail. Fits perfect, man. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm just saying. So just
Great.
check your.
I'll start writing it down.
Check your F mail, okay? Just go check it. Anyway, yeah.
As long as it's not FU mill.
Yeah, FU mail. But you know, the cool thing about it is, guys, is the fact that with the institution of or the rollout of IPFS, interplanetary file system, for those who were wondering, this gives us a lot of functionality. So there was 3 things that I wanted to see really deployed on here. One was IPFS and persistent storage. You saw them today, right? 2 was the ability for fiat on-ramp mechanism so that you could grow that out. And 3, I wanted to see useful clients that make sense. So, you know, one of those was Flux Drive needed to happen, you know, deployment of the apps and stuff like that. And then I want to see a social piece developed on top of Flux, and I want to see an email piece. If we can get those pieces together, you're right. I mean, it's an ecosystem. Then we're pulling it all together in one place. So yes, I would like to see that as well. If somebody's out there and they're like a developer and they're listening to this and they want to help us build out a mail client that runs on Flux, hit us up, man. We're always looking for extra help, and use your time and your talents to give back to the community as well. So let's do it.
Well, and the search engine we have, right? There's pre-search out there. I believe Timpy is working on stuff.
Yeah. I think you'll see us use, you know, I mean, it's like everybody always says, well, why did Flux remove the privacy aspect of? Because there's other people that do it better than us. You know, that's what it comes down to. So, you know, Flux is agnostic with the technology. If somebody else has built it, I'll give you a perfect example is Doc and what they're doing with, you know, online storage of legal documents. They're going to be they're a Flux Lab project. They'll be deployed on Flux. We'll be able to integrate parts of their infrastructure into ours. And that's how you win, is that interchain operability. So if you get, you know, a whole group of people with the same ethos that you have, yeah, I think it's a win-win across the board. But yes, definitely an email client for sure.
All right.
Did I hear you correct that you want your Flux coin currently at 78 cents to be worth a $1 pegging? No, you didn't hear that correctly.
That's why I'm bringing it up, because I want to make sure that
no. The price amount is pegged in fiat, meaning if it's, you know, $5, it's $5 worth of Flux, whatever Flux is at that particular point in time. But we're not pegging. There's no stable asset there or anything like that. We want Flux to. I mean, you know, we don't ever talk about price on the team, or very, very rarely do we talk about price. You know, we talk maybe about a, you know, projection and technology, but tend not to talk about price. And there's a reason why we don't do that, is because we believe it's going to be way different in the future. And, you know, we don't want to mislead anybody. So I would say if you want to really do your research on what you think Flux will be worth, start looking at the value of the network. Bunny Analyst has some really good pieces over there. You can start to figure out the value of what Flux is. And you can also start to figure out what you believe it'll be in the future. So yeah, we don't really talk about the price much.
This one is for you, Daz.
So yeah, just like any other service, it's going to go into like a suspended state to give you an opportunity to renew if you just didn't get a chance to renew, and then eventually it will be deleted. Yeah.
So in other words, it's the same way with Dropbox, Google Drive, all of those. You know what I mean? Like if you don't use it, you lose it. So I mean, it'll suspend it for a period of time, and then it'll purge after, you know. Yeah. Whatever. So,
and one important point is that the files themselves are stored in Web3, and it's that hash reference that's actually stored in the blockchain. So none of the data is actually physically, you know, out there in the public, just the reference to it. So that's the only thing that will get deleted or removed. Well, the hash stays, but the files get removed.
Yep. All right. Next, I think you should also. I think also about user experience for deploying things. Like, for example, I try to create a WordPress website from Flux Lab. It's not easy. Well, you're dealing with disruptive technology. If you're trying to deploy it today, you've got best case an alpha in terms of what you're working with. So, I mean, if anyone that's been here longer than like a year or two will tell you, if they remember the first version of Zelcore and the first version of Flux OS, it doesn't look anything like that today. And as a matter of fact, as Daz was showcasing the walkthrough with Jetpack, this was the first of many things where the user experience will continue to be looked at, and we'll fine tune it and hone it down. You're talking specifically about WordPress. WordPress is something that we've deployed on top of Flux. It's not in. Wait a minute, is it in alpha yet?
I was letting you talk, but yeah,
it's in alpha. Yeah, so we got it in alpha. There's going to be 2 or 3 iterations after that. You know what I mean? Like, we know that 60% of the internet runs on WordPress. So if we're deploying this on Flux for the price that you guys are seeing, it's super cheap. Obviously, there'll be an influx of folks coming into the system as well. So yes, we're always looking at an easier way for people to deploy these things.
Keep the questions coming, guys.
Yes, really good questions.
All right.
Music smart contracts on a Web3 platform is what I work on, and beginning on a decentralized hosting is important to me. Can this be achieved on your service? Absolutely. 100%. I will say this. We're working on Project Thunder right now. The specs, Volter has already started that. The good news is that'll come fairly quickly because we already have the infrastructure in place. So would you be able to deploy like a music repository or library on top of Flux today? Yeah. You probably eat all of our storage up. So give us like a month, and then once we've got Thunder running, then I don't think it's a big deal. I think you could see, I mean, judging from the commitment of the community, I think you could see just petabytes of data just coming in. I mean, so yeah. I mean, eventually that's exactly what you're doing, David, is exactly what we've built this thing for.
All right. Let's do 1 or 2 more questions, and then we should start thinking of wrapping it up.
Okay, 2 more.
All right. Dan, you said you had some questions earlier.
Yeah, let's try to get these guys if we have anything in there.
Yeah. Right.
Will the storage providers or Flux node owners be shielded from legal issues should users store illegal information on the network, such as pirated music? Well, I tell everybody this all the time. Decentralized networks are not. It's not anarchy, right? So just because it's decentralized doesn't mean it's that you don't. There isn't going to be terms of service created by this community of what can run on their network. I mean, it's just factual. I think you have to have a moral compass. So there's things out there that you just can't accept on any platform. As far as protecting node owners are kind of like ISPs in the sense that, and this is pretty much, we've had 2 legal reviews on this. Both of them came back the same, and they said that, because it's on a network, you can't necessarily find Xfinity or Comcast or Time Warner or whatever it is for content that goes across their network. It has to come back to the end users. And just because you're decentralized doesn't mean you're completely private. And if you're deploying something, right now you're whitelisting it to a repository. In the future, you'll be doing the exact same thing that's tied to your Zell ID, right? So it comes back not to the people that are hosting the infrastructure, because you're just like ISP service providers, right? It's node information that's going through your node. But as this grows, it's massive. You'll never know what's there or how it's running. So what that comes down to is the onus and the accountability and the legal ramifications will come down to the end users, the individuals deploying on the network. So if you're putting something nasty up there, more than likely you're almost instantaneously people are going to know about it. Like, it's just how it is. And if you're breaking the community terms of service that'll be instituted, then you'll be removed from the network as well. So just because it's decentralized, folks, does not mean it's lawless. And we have to remember that. We're not Monero. We're not, these privacy-based coins. You don't even have that, in our wheelhouse. But, we have to make sure that we grow this thing appropriately. I hope that makes sense.
Yep. Absolutely. One more question.
Jetpack can be great for decentralized backup. Hope cloud backup will be available for TrueNAS. I don't even know what TrueNAS is, but what is that?
Network attached storage. I've never heard of that particular service, but yeah, definitely a great future request.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, like, when we were talking in the State of the Union about how important it is, with Flux, you're deploying a minimum of 3 nodes. So you have redundancy almost built in from, turnkey.
Yes.
I mean, other platforms like AWS and things like that, if you want that redundancy, you're going to pay for extra infrastructure, right? So I think that really sets us apart from all these other, cloud providers that are doing things their way. So. All right, guys. It's been a kick-ass AMA. Thanks everybody for attending. We had a great number of turnout today. Check us out. Keep an eye on what Daz is doing and what the team is doing. We're always in Discord. We're always building stuff out. If you have questions, feel free to ask. We'll keep the AMA portal open, like one in Discord. If anybody didn't get their question answered and they want it answered, just drop it in that AMA section and we'll go for that. So guys, thanks for jumping on today. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been super exciting. And if I just want to say a few shout outs if I can.
Absolutely.
To the team themselves, Jeff Vader, Jeremy, Nolan, they've all been a huge help throughout this project. Davey with his testing. And don't forget the marketing side, Betty and the team. What an amazing.
Oh, they're awesome.
And wasn't that video intro kick ass? My goodness, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, Dim is our one of our graphic artists who does the graphic. Dude, that guy's he's legendary. Every time I ask him to do something, I'm like, you got to do something big, and I want it to be different than everything else. Okay, and off he goes.
Yeah, that's all he says. Back. Okay,
yeah, and then he comes back with something that blows your socks off, and he's like, and then all he sends me back is that meme of "This is the way" with the Mandalorian in it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is the way. Thanks. So big shout out to Dim too as well. So, all right, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, LFG. Let's do this, guys.
Davey, play us out, brother.
All right. I'll play us out. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you a story. I'm on a Nimbus. I'm in the Stratus. Come check my status. What the flex is going on? I'm on the Nimbus. I'm in the Stratus. Come check my status. What the flex is going on? I'm on the Nimbus. I'm in the Stratus. Come check my status. What the flex is going on? I am fluxing on them now. I'm fluxing on them proud. I'm fluxing on them now. I'm fluxing on them proud. I'm in the Nimbus. Come check my status. What's my status? What the is going on? I'm in the Nimbus. Come check my status. What's my status? What's your status? I'm flexing on them now. 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 I'm flexing on them proud. What the flex is this? We going to the moon. Can I tell you something? Layer 1, layer 2, this is humongous. Decentralized, so we keep it 100. 10,000 nodes, yeah, we building an army. Flex on them now like it don't mean nothing. We an army and we strong. I'm on the Nimbus. I'm in the Stratus. Come check my status. Come check my status. What the flex is going on? What the flex is going on? But the flex, we are so strong. We an army and we strong.